back, everyone, to another episode of Lancescurv. I'm glad to be here. I do apologize for being so late today. I usually come in a little earlier, but I had some time out and I wanted to rest a little more, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I must say that. Life is all about balance. Even I know that more so now. I've always been one to focus in on things and not enjoy myself, but life is balanced right now. And I hope you find that balance in your life. Not to say that I found it and you didn't, and I'm better than you. No, I'm not saying that. But we have to find a place where, as we move forward effortlessly. It's the beauty of riding a bicycle. You find that balance. When you first get on a bicycle as a child, and some of us adults, it's like you stumble and fall. When you're a child and you're crawling on the floor, you don't know how to walk yet. You see everybody else around you walking. And you try on shaky legs. And you do those first 2 or 3 steps, and you fall, and you cry. But deep down, you know you can do it. You see all of these people walking around you. So you find that proper balance in life. You can multitask, you can make progress, but you don't have to kill yourself. And after a while, you gain a certain type of momentum where you can execute what you execute so excellently without running yourself down. You're so far ahead that you've earned the right not to coast, but to take your time and pace yourself. Because ain't no time soon, those who try to catch you, which you're not in the race, you're doing your own thing, they will not have that level of creativity and authenticity in what they do because they're watching you. I watch no one. And this is how we all should do it. I'm very content and happy that you all are here. Well, today I wanted to speak on a topic that I've touched on before numerous times within other shows under different titles. And for those who can't see it or they're overhearing it, the title of this is Men Who Covertly Despise Women. They hate the power of your womanhood. And I made a little link inside YouTube, and it basically said, ladies, have you ever dealt with a man to whom you've done everything right with and for, yet you just couldn't figure out what's wrong? And I had a chance, and many chances, to speak with men like this, not knowing they felt like this. But you get bits and pieces of certain things that kind of hit you in a foreign way, in a strange way. Because not everybody thinks alike. Not all women are bad, and not all men are bad. Sometimes we label women and men as bad, as though it's spoiled milk never to return to freshness. But they're going through a phase at that particular time or a certain part of the development that may seem unfavorable, but they're going to grow out of it. And sometimes men and women can be going through certain dilemmas in their life where they might have lost a loved one. They might have gotten fired off of a job. They might have found out that they had a terminal illness. There's so many things that can happen that if we don't understand what a person's going through, we may not think that they're too good of a person. So we have to reserve that. And sometimes if we have to back away because you've been snapped on, or they have ways that are unfavorable to you, give them their space. But always understand that some of us out here are still in development and still making progress to be better people, but that just happens to be the phase that we're in now. But, and this goes for women too, and I'll have a separate show for women in the same positioning. So brothers, don't come in the comment section and try to trash me because you smack me, I'm going to smack you back. This is the way I am now. You can disagree, but don't start insinuating foolishness when I go in a topic with surgical precision, right? That's how we have to do it. Anyway, we have these men who covertly despise women, but yet they will be sometimes and oftentimes in a relationship, and when their situation of despising women and hating their womanhood, they won't be in a relationship. But it's a dual kind of thing from what I see, and I'll explain myself. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to be somebody's psychiatrist. I don't have any degrees that way. I'm just talking on purely from experience and putting pieces together that maybe I don't have the whole mosaic together, but I might have 85% together so I can speak on this. And maybe I'm taking the cake out of the oven a little too soon, but this is what it is. Now, I used to work as a corrections officer. Many of you know that. That's not the beginning of me noticing these type of men. But that period of my life helped me to put the pieces together, what I've seen in some wayward men who I really don't get along with, you see. And in the cells, because you know I like to talk and kind of inquire as to how we've gotten in this situation, but I wouldn't aggressively do it because that's their business. I mean, I could always go in the computer and see what particular charges a person has, and that's okay to do so. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. So I would notice some of these inmates, and I hate to use that word, but we're just going to go right to the point. They would ogle and call to some of the female correction officers as they walk by. Well, I mean, these are men. They have desires. It's not excusable for them to catcall and call a woman out all under her clothes. No. Some do and some don't. I can't say they all do. But when you have that much testosterone in one place and a woman walks through, it's something to see. Not just lust, but the power of womanhood. You don't have to work as a corrections officer, as a female in a jail or a prison, but it's so much more intense. And it's not always lust. Oftentimes, it's well stated, and many people will agree with me, that although many of those who are locked up have big muscles and strong, they work out all day. If they don't have weights in the particular facility, they'll do calisthenics or run in place or do whatever they have to do. And they can look pretty imposing because while we have to pay bills and sit there and work and deal with kids and repairs in the house and cutting the lawn, a lot of us don't have a chance to even concern ourselves about our physique. But they do. So you would think that a man going into that cell to deal with those who society calls inmates, you would think he has a better shot at dealing with them. But then most of us know the opposite is true. That a woman walking in to a cell to do a routine cell check, of course you're going to have a male officer with her, but it's a whole different reaction. I've seen this. It's a whole different reaction when they walk into that cell, not because the inmates always think she's sexy or they want to look at her backside or want to look at her physical form, but oftentimes with womanhood is not just sexuality. Because I've seen women, COs, corrections officers, go into a cell and speak with such authority, yet speak with a deep, motherly feel that these men who pretty much wouldn't find her as any kind of physical challenge, they respond in a more effective way to bow down to this hidden thing that this woman has, the power of womanhood. And there are men who covertly despise it. Not all, but some. I couldn't give you a percentage, but they're there. So when the man comes in by himself, or depending on the category of incarceration, custody level, you go in, it's like a bull meeting a bull, testosterone meeting testosterone. Even if you lower your aggression as a corrections officer, you're still going to be met oftentimes with an over-exaggerated response to simple inquiries. So you have to master this art, and you have to master communication. And you also have to have a keen eye to see the state of mind that this individual is in. So if you work a regular area, you get to know pretty much who's in your unit. And you get to know, if you work a psychiatric unit, how things can become explosive. That many who are in the psych ward, as they would call it, they may act normal. Half of them may act a little crazy, but some may act normal and be cordial and respectful. And you go in one day, not even aggressive, but routine, cordial, and professional, and this guy tries to punch you so hard in the face. So these are the things you got to be ready for from men. And again, who came in, who doesn't know how I talk, we're focusing on the men who covertly despise women. So don't come in the comment section calling me a simp, that I'm giving them more props than they should get. I'm saying the general state of righteous womanhood. So if somebody cheated on you and you're butthurt at a woman, one woman in particular, or you had bad situations with 5 or 10 women, that's not all women. So if you butthurt and now you want to crusade against women, how bad they are, well, why did you make a bad choice? Chances are you made a bad choice because you couldn't keep your eyes off of her ass, and you didn't evaluate the integrity or levels of integrity or the invisible attributes that you would have found out and discovered were void and null. But all you can see is pleasure, but you want to turn it around like you were so hurt. But if you got the pleasure, would you stayed around and committed yourself? So when you get blowback and you took a gamble on a woman, on a female, thinking that, well, this is a woman I can rip off. Notice I said female and woman. We're talking about women. So if you went around and dealt with somebody who was less than a woman, but just a mere female who had the physical attributes that you wanted to have a bit of glorified friction with her and deemed her to be the provider of that friction before you rolled off and didn't even clean up and left her be until you got that phone call 9 months later, that's your problem. Think with the right head. Huh? It is what it is. Be mad and call me a simp. Okay? I don't care. Because I'm going to rip you a new anus. You'll go to the bathroom in half the time. Trust me. I'm very clear on what I'm saying. There's no script here. It's straight from the heart and shooting from the hip. Life experience is a heck of a thing. But while being inside with men who have done things to be locked up, some who are innocent. Couldn't tell you the real percentage, because when you go in there and talk to them, everybody will tell you that they're innocent. Boo-hoo. But I've noticed, and I've noticed this also in the outside world before taking that type of employment, but I couldn't really put it together. But I talked to a guy from South America in his origin, but he's in America. And he was one who raped and killed prostitutes. But see, what most people don't understand is that when you work in these situations and you see the charges of those who may temporarily live there, it's a shock. Because in your mind, they're walking around doing the crime or acting out like they're the ones that did the crime, the ones who did now. But they're over there playing cards and laughing. They're over there, hey, SCURV, man, I hope your weekend was good. How you doing, man? My girlfriend told me she saw you at the supermarket with your lovely wife. More power to you. But this guy might have killed 10 prostitutes. But he's acting so respectful to me. In the height of his funk, that's what he did. This is what he does. And possibly, if you let him out, he'll go on to go back and start doing it again. You got to understand this. We don't walk around like the crimes we do. Do you walk around looking like the things we do in the shadows? You know, we all got a separate life hidden away. I'm not saying it's something deadly, but we all have little things that we would not broadcast out to the world because that's our little secret. That's what we do. We understand the areas where we do those things. How about our desires and our thoughts? If we were to have those things broadcast across a big digital billboard, we'd probably leave the town that we're living in because everybody would know, oh my God, I didn't know I like to do that. These things I like to do that I don't want to put out to the world. But me being who I am, I pretty much told people things on this show down through the years. If you add it up, you pretty much know me. I don't have to walk around with the fear of, they know what I do. Because what I do is not deadly. It's not going to take a life. It's not even disrespectful. Consenting adults is never disrespectful. But people who do stuff like this, when I got a chance to talk to this guy, you know, I'm sitting there. What better way to just pass the 8 hours, or even if you're on a 12-hour shift, depending on what facility you're in, what better way to pass the time away? It's like being inside one of those documentaries on Channel 13 PBS or anything you see on YouTube, locked down 24/7. You know, you got a whole hour of condensed entertainment of what goes on in a prison or a jail, and it's not like that. Most of the time, it's just routine. But me, with my inquisitive nature, I found myself talking to people like this. So there's one in particular, this guy from South America, and he was a black man, just happened to be living, I think it was Guatemala or oh God, what was it? Anyway, that doesn't matter. He's a black man, a little different culture than mine, but he is. So we would have friendly small talk, and then one day he was sitting there, and he said, SCURV, man, I want to talk to you. I said, okay, what's up, man? Something bothering you? He said, no. He says, man, I don't understand it. Now, excuse my French, I'm going to use a few words to paraphrase him. It's not me saying this or calling women this. First thing out of his mouth was, who these bitches think they are? I said, wait, where you coming from with that? Talking about good morning and all this stuff, and who these bitches think they are? So evidently he's walking around with something in his heart. So me understanding that pretty much he wasn't speaking of a man, but I have to say the state of bitchhood and the mentality of bitchhood is not attached to any sex. regardless as to what people think. Because we got more bitchy men than we do women, right? What do I mean by that? Gossipy, catty, envious, just chatty, hating on somebody, not real men, okay? So we understand back in the day and how they used the slang way, whatever, but I just had to paraphrase them. But who these bitches think they are? So I had to step a little closer to investigate. I said, did you have a problem with somebody here in the facility, another CO? No, man, but I'm just saying, Now, he came from South America, but he's been in America enough to talk like that with that kind of accent and that kind of linguistic seasoning. So he's like, man, I just can't, I don't know, man. The attitude they have, they act like they don't know nobody. You talk to them, they act like they better than you. Know what I'm saying? So I said, well, you're not going to appeal to every woman. So we're in the facility here, brother, and you're not talking about something that happened in this prison or jail. This is something that you hold in your heart. So you know me as a person who likes to really go in and dissect things. Where did this feeling come from today? And I purposely said today, right? Knowing that it's not just today. He said, man, it's been like that all my life, man. These chicks think they all that. I said, man, brother, listen. Have you ever met a nice woman that you like to be involved with, that you treated right in your approach? Man, they all the same. What you mean treat them right with their approach? Man, all these bitches. See, so now it was evident he had the problem. So I'm not going to ask him the things I wanted to ask him. But I found out in a roundabout way over the next few months. And what it was, I'll just tell you instead of going through the whole back and forth exchange. But I had to be coy with it. He didn't have a good relationship with his mother. Now, this doesn't mean that men who don't have good relationships with their mother always end up rotten toward good women, right? But I found that men usually who don't, you have some who break the rules. With everything I say, there's always some who break the rules. So don't hold me to say I'm saying everyone. But usually, when it's a man who, as a youngster, had a woman who happened to be the mother, who was emotionally unavailable, that, to me, kind of set the foundation. And then when you have a mother who may put over the son, another man who she takes into her life because possibly there was no male presence there. Oftentimes, if there was, it was pretty much nondescript, not impactful on the subconscious mind of the son. Just a guy there, laying up, maybe pay a few bills. And it could be actually the blood father. But he can't identify with that. Because we want daddies that are our supermen. But when it comes to the mother, and the mother doesn't relate to you, open up to you, hug you, support you, be motherly, tell you that they love you, and you never get that, you set up for bitterness toward women. That's just my opinion. It's not a hard set rule, but usually when they go and try to go after a woman, it is never proper the way they do. It's a little too forceful. Like they feel as though, well, you owe me. And they don't consciously think this. They don't even know this, but they feel it. For example, you laying in the bed. It's up north, wintertime, snow falling. And you know how the heat cycles. And sometimes when you're in a structure that is not insulated properly, the heat doesn't hold as long as a place that is insulated properly. And you have the triple pane, weatherproof windows, and you save fuel that way. Now you're laying in the bed under a comforter. And regardless as to what the temperature is in that room, you feel good because you're trapping your own body heat. But you get up to go to the bathroom and you realize the cycle of the heat went off and it's still warm, but it's getting cooler. You get back into bed. The heat comes back on and goes back off, but now the comforter is not on your feet no more, and you wake up and your feet are cold. You see what I mean? So if a woman's not interested in you, in general, I mean, she may not even brush you off. These guys overreact. And this is why, see, what most people don't understand is that these men still have an attraction toward women. Maybe even more. Not more because of the physical body, but more because they didn't get warmth and the love from their mother. And again, this is not the hard set rule. This is something that I see. I've kind of tested it, talking to so many, I might say thousands, over my lifetime. I've talked to people from my teen years. Not that I was some genius, but I retain a lot of things from conversation and I put it on the shelf. I can always go back to it. And this is the common thread that I see. At worst, it might have been a mother who was fast, who may have been smoking, using drugs, maybe abandoned the son or the family for a while. Maybe they observed them in certain behaviors. You know, I always like to say it that way. Some young men and young women saw their mother with lots of uncles that weren't really uncles. And that uncle always went into the room with the mother. They're talking a little bit, and it got quiet, and all you could hear is the headboard getting hit or the mattress squeaking. And after a while, you begin to, as a child, realize that they're in there doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and it hurts them. We'll stay focused on the men, though. So these men have a resentment already. Like when you pre-wire a house for whole house internet, well, they're pre-wired to despise womanhood. So when they meet a good woman, they kind of know it, but they're on guard because they've been hurt by their mother. So they'll get with a good woman, and these men who never felt the real love, they don't trust it. Like when you get a brand new car, not a brand new car, but a used car, you kick the tires, you get up under the hood, you go for the test drive, and you're really investigating because you're making sure. But because of that letdown early on in life, it's like they cannot feel the full saturation of what this good woman has to share. I'm not saying give, but share. Because when you're in a relationship, you both have to share. And when you're really in tune with the next person, you should try to find out their voids. Because sometimes we can have voids that we don't know exist to be able to say, hey, okay, I have 10 voids. Void number 1 is this. Void number 2 is this. Void, because there are a lot of intelligent people who are brilliant in the outside world that have little idiosyncrasies that you just wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe it. There are professional people. I'm going to say it in a generalized way. Situations I know of. Brother Kevin, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad everybody's here. But that's my Boone Coon from back in the 70s. We go back many, many decades. We were just joking on the phone a little earlier, and I'll be joking with him later on. But like I said, you have these men who will appear to be great catches because now they're rising to the occasion with the same voids that they have that were never dealt with, never filled up, or never dealt with in therapy, but they're wounded emotionally. And they try to carry on. But it's just a matter of time before the resentment goes to the surface. before it rears its ugly head. He checks this woman out. And the thing is that his mother, of course, your mothers have power over you because that's your mother. You didn't come into this world knowing everything. So if your mother never treated you right, was never emotionally available for you, how the hell are you going to know how to navigate in a balanced, full, satisfying, nurturing relationship? And even when you're in a relationship, we are humans. We can have all the attributes that are desirable to the other person. And the bottom line is that we're still human. We get moody. Women get on their period sometime and all the emotional and hormonal things that happen. And men have a psychological period that they go through too. But nonetheless, when you have this man who despises women and the sanctity of womanhood, you got problems no matter how good you are. You as a woman, especially our sisters, because that's who I'm talking about. This may expand over, but I don't know nothing about that. You would try. Everything is good in the beginning. You do everything that you know in your power. You consult with girlfriends of yours that are in good relationships. You look at the TV shows. You read the columns. You go to the website. You want to make this thing work. You see? It's satisfying. And I had a woman tell me recently, really recent, she says, and this is a Ghanaian woman, she says, I can submit, and I love to submit to a man as long as he treats me properly. She didn't need some exemplary treatment where he creates a throne that she sits in and he kisses her feet. I have no problem with that either. Hell, that good woman brings so much heaven in your world. Why not? So call me a simp. Yeah? Call me a simp. Because most of the men who call me simps are the very guys who this particular topic is all about. Because if you've understood the full sanctity of womanhood, who's dedicated to you. See, if your mama wasn't dedicated to you, how the hell are you going to have a template and a blueprint to see that in another woman that you choose to deal with? And she chose you because you put up this front. Didn't let her know the void you have, and you know you have this. Huh? You can't appreciate her because all you know is disappointment. And I'm not knocking you for being disappointed. All I'm saying, you're not ready for a relationship if you can despise a woman. So in talking to this guy in the facility I worked in, who was killing prostitutes, but he would have sex with them first. He'd kill them and take the money back. And he laughed at that. And so when you see this ugliness go on, you have to keep a straight face. You can't, oh man, that's just, why would you just, it's like taking a punch to the gut that you didn't expect. You just have to take it. Man, that hurt. I can't let the opponent know that it hurt me. So here you are, hearing disgusting things. How they killed the person. You didn't ask for all that. And when I looked at him, it was almost as though he was in another world. It was almost as though he took pleasure in reliving what he did. And it hit me. Every time he killed a prostitute, this one here, I'm not saying all, but every time he killed a prostitute after having sex with them and taking the money back, he was killing his own mother. He was killing his own mother. But this is how the mind can be twisted. So what do you mean? You had sex with the prostitute. Did you want to have sex with your mother? No. But you wanted the love and the warmth at that particular stage of your development that you didn't get. So now that you get older and the dick and the balls come into play and the testosterone comes into play, well, guess what? That woman is not your mother. but it's still a woman. And now you have a sexual desire. You see her body, and we know that's lust. You're not going to a prostitute for true love, especially when you know she done been with about 5 or 6 men before you, and 5 or 6 men, if not more, after you. You know the deal. She's not there for that. But she may smile at you. She may tell you you're handsome. She'll say anything to get that money out of your pocket. And so this guy who wants the love of his mother so badly, consciously he's not looking for it in a prostitute, but his penis brings him to the prostitute. And since he's closer to that female who is the prostitute, he gets mad because he realizes she's not connected to him in any kind of way. The smile that's tense, the actions that are deliberate, the motivations that are deceptive. You can see this. See, when you have a void in your heart, you're very sensitive to that particular thing. It's a wound that you can't see. You have a scar or a scab. You got up in the middle of the night and bust your leg on the coffee table. We all do it, whatever it may be. You got a little scab. You thought the skin was just bruised, and you wake up and there's a scab there. Well, guess what? The next time you get up in the middle of the night to go wherever you were going, maybe it was the kitchen or the bathroom or whatever, you make sure not to bruise yourself there because you're aware of the scab. And many of these men, I feel sorry for them. I don't excuse killing anybody, hurting any woman, even if it's abusive language. I don't condone that. But they got to understand that until they get healing, and many are in denial, they'll continue their destructive behavior. Now, all men are not going to go out there who had emotionally unavailable mothers and go out there and kill prostitutes. That's extreme, because those guys that do that, they don't know how to deal with women. Now, here's the extra part of it that I said all of this stuff to get to. The bottom line is, with these kind of men, they resent the woman because they are mad that they have that power over them. You see, you have some men who won't admit this, but they hate it. So here we go with the line that he said in the beginning when I approached him in the cell. Who these bitches think they are? This is the mantra of the lives and a revelation of what is in their subconscious mind. I always say it. Perception is everything. Reaching goals is easy. But can we break down the barriers that stop us from reaching those goals? Reaching goals are easy. It's very easy. You can do anything you want to do in this world, but we got to fight ourselves first to overcome those internal obstacles. I was in deep meditation earlier when I woke up, even though it was late. That's why we're so late right now. Well, it's late for me because I always focus my shows on the East Coast. I love you too, West Coast, but if I cover the East Coast, the West Coast gets it. Now I'm 5 hours away in West Africa since daylight savings time. So while it may be 12:41 for those on the East Coast, it's 5:41 for me, and it's getting dark. That sucks. But nonetheless, these men, they're angry. So that they're rewired in a way. They're rewired. And you know when something's rewired, when you go up under the hood of the car and you switch things around, or you go to an appliance and then you switch things around, if it's not rewired right, it explodes. Hence, the man who goes and kills prostitutes. But they're rewired in a way where they don't know how to treat a woman because they had no example of one when they were younger. And deep down, there's a part of them that wants to be good. There's a part of them that wants to try to be good. But how can I break your legs and ask you to run a marathon? You can't run a marathon with broken legs, and some of these guys even try. And off the start line, they're left. So they feel they don't have it. There's an insecurity because of their early wounds that they've developed. How is somebody going to come out of a tangled mentality when that's all they knew from birth? And so they grow into this thing and it becomes tighter. Imagine wrapping yourself with ropes around you, like a big spider's web, and you're tangled in the web, and you just keep getting bigger, and this thing keeps getting tighter. Or a snake around your neck, tightening up. You can't think about proper development and let me learn how to treat women good. No, you're reacting to this stuff. So now you're reacting to your past. You're reacting to your upbringing, which all of us, most of us, are reacting to our upbringing. We are. And I just happened to glance at the chat room. I'm so much into my zone. Queen, I know who I am. You're right. A lot of American black men seem emotionally and psychologically broken. And we're not saying all. But even I'm touched. Not in this way. Oh, I appreciate my sisters. And I don't mean it just in some lustful way. I've had my dealings. I understand. But I love my mother. I've always loved my mother and my father. And I had a really good upbringing. We weren't rich. We weren't poor. I had everything I needed and a couple of things I wanted. I had a really wonderful community. If Kevin's still here in the chat rooms, remember how we always talk about how we were raised, and there were some in the neighborhood who weren't as fortunate, and the whole community was just so nice. The neighbors and people down the block around the corner. We had a couple Looney Tunes now. You know, when crack hit, it went crazy, but the base foundation of our upbringing, it was a very beautiful thing. So that has been the launching pad of my psyche, based off of that. I had a few little, things that bothered me, but it was nothing major. And I know what they are. And they don't bother me now. They really didn't bother me then because they were healed in a healing home, a loving home, where you saw an example of a mother who loved the father and a father who loved the mother. Each parent in different households loved differently, but at least there was love. And it's unfortunate if you don't have that in the early formative years to mold your mind. Because there are friends of mine that I call up sometime. And it's amazing that you hear in the background, when you call your friends, and they may say, hey, be quiet, one of the grandchildren, the kids, or whatever. And you hear the noise in the background, and it sounds just the exact way as when they were a teenager or young teenager, and you called their house, and their household had their wholesome sounds. The mother might be asking one of the children to pass something or go out there and sweep that front or what, and you hear the same thing decades later. Because that shows you the wiring. So now he's attracted to the woman physically. But his wiring makes it where he despises her because now the mother didn't give him love. He wants her physically, but hence the saying, who these bitches think they are? Because she has power over you and you hate it. Why do you hate it? It's not power where they're going to destroy you. It's a nurturing thing. Get around a good woman in your life. Be in a relationship with a good woman in your life. You walk the world stronger. You can see clearer. You feel on point mentally. When everything is right at home, as goes home, so goes your world. You see? As goes your home, so goes your world. But when you get grown and you're out of the home that you were raised in, it's still affecting your psyche because that has become normalcy for you. So you see this woman who loves you, giving you everything, but in your mind, you can't drop your guard because your mama never gave you love. So now it's some trick. Was she trying to trick me? Who she thinks she is? Yeah, I love the sex. I love all the tender feelings, but I can't trust it because it's probably not real. It's not real to you because you didn't experience real when you were younger. You understand? You didn't experience real when you were younger, so you have nothing to go off of. Nobody had a perfect childhood. But the bottom line, if you had a semblance of some sense, when I say normal, it doesn't mean it's a standard that everybody has to. Normal for you is different, normal for me, whatever. We can't even say average because we all relate culturally, mentally, spiritually, mentally and emotionally. All the stuff is a little different. But if you grew up in a household where you had, I can say caregivers because we all didn't have mothers and fathers. I was blessed with that, but not all of us had that. So I have to say caregivers. It could have been a grandmother, could have been an aunt, could have been a foster home. Man, I don't know about that too good. I don't hear too many good things about foster homes, but it is what it is. But the bottom line is, if you lived in a household where those who took care of you and raised you wanted you to have good, sound shelter, good education, access to health care to take care of you nutritionally, so your body's fed, to take care of you mentally, so you're not cuckoo when you get older, and spiritually. Doesn't mean you have to run to a church house. That's religion. That's man-made. But to have a sense of spirituality above and beyond that, where you can pick up the rhythms of that household. And just like when you go dancing and you pick up the rhythm of that next song that just got mixed in, that you only heard a couple of beats and you stall a little bit because, here comes another song, so I may have to speed it up a little bit or slow it down. You leave one beat and you get into the other. But when you leave the beat of a righteous household and come to another that you build with a real woman, it's going to be pretty much the same. Not the same like the old thing. No, you create your own new beat, but it has the same rhythm in that. And these men, it's destruction with them. You don't want to get involved with them. You have no way of knowing because they're going to lure you in with good treatment. Most of these men usually are narcissistic. And they're going to turn the tables on you, and you find yourself as a good woman now trying to give all and willing to put work into it when you're not getting anything back, and it drains you. And they love draining you because they resent you. They don't like the fact that they love the way you look because in the back of their mind, if I get into her, she's going to take that nice shape. We know how men are. They don't care if you got a wedding ring or not. They don't care about any of that. Somebody's going to hit on her and she's going to run with them because you didn't understand or have a mother who was loyal and faithful, and it gave you a template from which to draw from to understand that every woman's not like that. Men, whoever you with, if your woman went to the supermarket today, or if she went to the mall to pick up something real quick, somebody gave her a glance of lust to let her know, I'm with it, baby. Come on over here, I'm with it. I don't care if you got a husband at home. I got a van parked outside. We can get it on right now. They're going to be constantly bombarded with that. And you got to understand that. Why are you so insecure? Well, we know in this case, they didn't have that template and example of a real woman. And I hate to say it. There are a lot of good women out here. There are a lot of good women out here who have been broken to different degrees, and they still try. There are a lot of good women out here who really right now, they don't want to be bothered. And I don't blame them. Time and time again, they get hurt. Time and time again, they get fooled by the sham and the deception of a cardboard cutout of the ultimate you that don't exist. No. They say, I don't want to be bothered. You're a nice guy and everything, but maybe you'll find somebody else. I don't want to be bothered. And even that now, in the mind of men who are like this, that replicates the emotionally unavailable mother. So when they see a sister who don't want to be bothered with their jive talk to lure them in to hurt them because they despise them, they're going to hate you now. The same way when the brothers on the corner who may have a lot of times on their hand and for a lot of reasons, early in the morning not doing anything, not all but some, here you come dressed up going to work, and here they come. Hey, baby. Hey, lovely. You looking nice this morning. Boy, can I talk to you? Can I get your phone number? And she knows what time it is. Every time she walks past that corner to go to public transportation, to go to her job, to pay her bills, she got to deal with this. She never treated you with disrespect. But because of your insecurity and you knowing what you should do to fill those voids, why is it that you keep getting rejected? You might be a handsome brother, well built, but she can sense something about you. She can see, like when you see little kids come to your door for trick or treat, Halloween. You see a Spider-Man mask, but you know that's not Spider-Man. You see the little eyes blinking behind the thing that have nothing to do with the mask, right? But you play the game with them. Okay, Spider-Man, I'm going to give you this candy. Hulk, I'm going to give you this candy. You see what I mean? They can see it. And as soon as you even treat them with respect, it's like, listen, sweetheart, and you call them sweetheart. I'm on my way to work, and I do have a man, or I do, I'm not interested. They take it to heart because they get a flashback on that mother who never gave them a hug. They get a flashback on that mother who may have gave them a plate of food but never sat down with them to talk over the plate or to have dinner, have a family. And I'm not mad at a man who reacts to that. But what I'm mad at is how they carry it on to the next generation and want to take it out on every woman in their life and turn around and say, oh, there ain't no good woman. There ain't no good woman out here. So that guy who's trying to talk to the woman on the corner, as soon as she passes by and he can't get a number, all of a sudden she becomes a bitch. Man, fuck these bitches, man. These hoes ain't gonna give a brother a chance. Give yourself a chance by elevating your vibration. And look within to see what you have to untangle. Untangle the mess that was there. You may not have created it. I understand that. But no matter what, look, somebody got to clean up around the house. You got 10 Negroes laying up watching TV, smoking blunts, and the place is getting trashy. Somebody got to get up and clean up. And you better make those in your household do the right thing. So as men, what we have to understand, especially black men, yes, most of us are broken. But the bottom line is that it's the responsibility of us to look inward. And we're fooled by how society treats us to deal with things. Because first thing, you got to look outside of yourself and Jesus going to fix it. Well, if you have a leak in your plumbing and the plumber never comes, what you going to do? Sit there and let it flood out the house? The Jesus you're looking for on the outside is the energy inside of you. You got to untangle that thing. Ain't nobody going to swoop down from the sky coming with great power and a sword in their hand. How many generations have subscribed to that and they sitting here, and especially us who religion has affected the most? See, we get in there and we do our aerobics and cry out. I cry too, but I cry to myself. Say, oh God, I don't like what I see on the inside. I got to change this. It's only for me to change this. My mama passed away, as is nature. My father transitioned. They're not here anymore that way. But I'm connected to everything that they put inside of me. So they're there with me, and they're going to help me by what they taught me as a youngster. If you want to say beyond the grave, no, they're there. They just passed the baton to me right now. So now it's up for me because they did a good job under the hood. They made sure I was tuned up with wisdom. Although I didn't always use it, I couldn't say no to all these pretty girls coming around me when I was much younger. But I got over that, I hope. but I have enough put inside of me. And that's the job of a good parent and good parents and a good home. Like I always say, home, womb, home, womb. The home is the womb that you have around you after you come out of the stomach. And we know the womb is the thing that fed you, protected you, nourished you, gave you that good music, that bass of the heart. Boom, 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 boom. Remember Heartbeat by Tanya Gardner? She lived like 3 blocks over and 5 blocks down, I think, from me. I never met her, but I heard she lived on that block. 1981. Heartbeat. It makes me feel so real. Yes, yes, yes. I glanced over again, and you coming with it. Now, you know the deal there, Queen. I know who I am. They raised effeminate, needy, emotionally fragile males for the most part. Yes. And now we find women who are in relationships who are put in the awkward position of almost having to carry the role out as a man. I'm not saying they want this, but they look at you laying on the couch with your effeminate self, big and strong with all these muscles, can lift anything in the house, and you do, but you're so fragile. And effeminate doesn't mean anything bad when you're speaking about a woman, because a woman is supposed to be effeminate. And it doesn't mean weakness. But being effeminate doesn't fit well on a man. That's why we have males who are effeminate. You know. Oh, Lance, you always talk this stuff. You just hate the LGBTQ, don't you? Do I hate anybody? No. Do I despise certain ideologies that are having or given a leeway for our men to punk out and not be men? Males do stuff like that, who know they're not up for the job of being a black man in America and all over the world, because you have to be damn near Superman. And you know what? Like I said before, we are. In our highest vibration, we are. I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again. It's not that we're Superman. Being Superman is normal for us, because everything else out here is watered down and weak. This is why society is cracking up, falling apart. You ever have somebody come and do a carpentry or construction or concrete job for you, and after a while it starts cracking up because it wasn't done right? If we follow behind this society and the way things go as far as the accepted norms now, we ain't never going to be right. We got to reject it and go back to the old school, which we had imperfections then. But I don't care if it was the mailman walking down the block and you saw him and he lived in your neighborhood. If you were doing something that you shouldn't be doing, you'll straighten up. And if he caught you, you know you don't need to be doing that, young man. You need to go home and apologize to your mother, because after I get up this uniform, I'm coming over there and I'm going to have a talk with her and your father. We took accountability even to the children in our neighborhood. But now we don't have those sentinels anymore who look over with order and walk in order. Okay, I don't know what you're doing behind closed doors on the weekend, but as a man, when you came outside, you did the right thing by the people around you and in your community. You see? And it was your duty, and you took pride. 80-year-old man walking around, retired. It's okay to be 80, and it's okay to be retired. You know, he snazzy dresser when he was younger, but he shrunk up a little bit. You know, his waistline is around his nipple line now because he lost some height. But he's sharp. And he's the police in his mind, as all black men should be in their community. And he walking down real slow. And he's seeing one of the young ladies out in her front yard, but there's some dudes from the neighborhood peeping at her the wrong way. Hey, man, what you doing around here? Oh, well, you know, ain't no, well, you know, you don't live around here. You got to go. They could whip that man's behind from sitting behind the wheel, just reach over and grab him, little skinny old man. But he walked with authority because he knows right from wrong. And he's a real man. We got too many guys who focus on going to the gym and getting big muscles and getting in shape, and they're only males. Amenities come standard as a male. You ain't saying nothing big or doing nothing big because your penis is big. And the ladies got to know that there's a lot of good dick out there attached to a fool. Because if you're only using one head and you're not guiding it with the other head, first and foremost, you ain't supposed to use that head down there until you right in the head up top. Because if you're not right in the head as a man, you're going to bring forth a chaotic situation. Tell me I'm wrong because you see it. These idiosyncrasies that we don't take care of as males who want to act like men and get the props of men, when we procreate and bring other children into the world, that's their wiring right there. Because they're going to pick up on what you do. If you see a little girl that's in a household with an alcoholic father that comes home and beats the mother every night, and the mother's subservient in the wrong way because she should pick up something and bust them over the head, you got to earn for a woman to be subservient to you. It's in her nature to be subservient and submissive. I'm not talking weak. I'm not talking, girl, get over there and clean up the floor. No, I'm not talking about that. But when she sees a real man who's doing what he's supposed to do to secure you, give you peace of mind. You ain't worried about the bills being paid. If he's coming home late an hour or two, you're not worried about him running with another woman. Because you saw on the news there was an accident on the highway, and when he calls to tell you, you already know it, baby. He comes home and brings things home for you. He's considerate of you. He doesn't have to call you and ask you your shoe size. He knows all your shoe sizes. He knows all your outfit sizes. He's into you. He gives you his all. You can't help, I'll say it nice, to cook a nice meal. The home is clean. Now, you may work too, and maybe you share in those things. It doesn't mean you just have to be in the kitchen. But the women who are complaining about that have a man who's not doing what he's supposed to do. And they don't understand the next woman. Well, you do all that for your man? I don't know if I can do it. Well, yeah, if you had a man like me. No, I'm not saying that. Don't soundbite me on some homo stuff. I'm saying a woman says this, the good woman with the good man. If you had a man like me, it's effortless. It's a pleasure. It's a celebration. He came home tired last night. Couldn't move a muscle. I had to feed him the food because I know he's out there working hard. So what else you do, girl? You know what I did. I got down on my knees and not to pray. And I did it with a smile on my face because I got a good man. But see, the thing is, these men who despise women covertly at first, but they show you their ass after a while, right? They want the props of the good man, but they're merely a damaged male. And so when they don't get it, now the abuse comes. Either it could be physical, it could be emotional, verbal. Well, it's always emotional, even when it's physical. Even when it's just verbal. And some, like the inmate that I talked to, will act out and see a prostitute, which they chose to do that. It doesn't mean you're supposed to disrespect even the prostitute. You may think she's disrespecting herself, but it's not for you to disrespect her because, like I said before, yesterday, I forgot what the situation was. That one who you see only as a prostitute because every time you drive home, she's just starting her job. And she's out there, and you think that she's the lowest of the low. But there was a time when she came out of her mother's womb, and her mother held her and thought the highest for her. She was loved. We don't know what happened to her along the lines to cause her to choose to be out there. It's not just money sometimes. Sometimes it's their own wiring. I've known over the years lots of prostitutes. I've talked with them. I used to drive a van in the street, a commuter van, and all types of women would talk with me. There was a time for several years I drove around female strippers. It was a business arrangement. They paid me well, and I was very respectful of them, and they will tell you that. But what if that prostitute never had love either? What if that prostitute was molested when she was younger by an uncle, by a father, the blood father? What if she was only seen as an object of sexual pleasure, a tool, and that's it? And she comes to a place in her mind where she says, you know what? If this is all they want, I'll give it to them. But you know what? You're going to pay. And do you think that heals her? No. But in her mind, at least I'm getting something out of this deal. See, there's so much that goes on that we don't see. We see a pretty face or you see a handsome man. You don't know what's behind it. You don't know what wired them to be the way they are. So you have to be careful in how you deal. But we can't, and people say judge. Judging is when you don't know something. But we can assess a situation. And once you live life long enough, you can pretty much assess the generalities of a situation without knowing what it is. You know something went wrong in those situations, and something can be done to correct it. But don't wait too long, because when you're a man like this, trust me, the longer you wait, it's like concrete. The longer it'll be for you to correct yourself. You understand? So that's what it is. Wow. Prostitutes went out of business in America because these broken and weak-minded women doing their jobs for free. Ain't that something? Welcome, Master Glam. Oh, man, that's true. And you know what? That's the flip side of these things. We need to talk about that tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'll go in on that one. Throw me a topic. We're going to chop it up. But I ain't going to hold back no more. So what do we do in this situation? Like I said, these men who may not want to correct what's on the inside, well, you're just going to have to be damaged. Stop blaming the external. Stop blaming what you do in the comment section. I get all kind of things in the recent few last weeks. Man, what you think about these women who... Then if you are sitting here pissed off at these women and not smart enough to know, well, it's some women, and you've been making the wrong choice. And usually it's because you're thinking with the wrong head, and you want to make something out of it now. Because the P-U-S-S-Y felt good. Well, what P-U-S-S-Y don't feel good? Soft, warm, inviting membranes, the sensitive head of the penis touching that, electrical shocks, make your toes spread. What more do you have going on behind that? That's not a full relationship. Do I go into a restaurant hungry and ask for one plate of a dessert? Well, give me a little piece of chocolate cake. I'm not walking out of there feeling as though I'm nourished. That might be the sweetest part of the meal, but that's not going to nourish me. That might be the sweetest part to you as a broken man, but it doesn't make it fulfilling for her when the light bill ain't paid. And you sitting on the couch playing PlayStation because you think these hoes owe you something and they need to go out and work. No! You're a weak male. You're a weak male. You've got mail. You're a weak male. And you want to blame everybody outside of yourself for the homework you got to do. Listen, I've had some hard lessons in my life emotionally. Not at home, but just you go through stuff and your knee get bruised and you get a scar here emotionally and you catch one here and there, but you should be self-healing. You have to step out of yourself and look at yourself realistically and take accountability as to the part that you had to do with that. I remember Mike Tyson early on when he started his career, before people even knew who he was, because I'm a big boxing fan. And when he came out of the amateurs, what was it, 84? I already knew him from 83, 84. I don't know him. I'm just saying I knew of him, following the careers of different boxers. And one thing he would do, which was very impressive, he could have devastated the guy and knocked him out in the first round. And the news announcer would come up to him and stand with him in the center of the ring and put the microphone to his face. Hey, Mike, devastating performance. I don't see where you could have gotten any better, but what is it that you think that you could have done to make this better? Well, basically, I knocked him out first in the first round, but, the punches that I executed, I didn't have my weight shifted the right way, so I really don't give myself a good... I'm disgusted. I rate myself a 6. A 6? And you knocked him out? But see, people see the knockout, but they don't see the beauty of the process of what he worked on, because I was working on this combination for the last 6 months, and I didn't do the same way the way Customato told me to do it. And I got to go back and make this better. Matter of fact, the next fight, I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to knock the opponent out. Yeah, we know I'm going to do that, but I'm going to execute those punches better and watch the technique. Woo, Queen, I know who I am. You give me all kind of subjects to talk about. Wow. Yeah, and driving his woman's car to go pick up other women. The woman gives him a little stipend to encourage him to go out and he's taking that money and spending it on another woman. He's bringing other women up in the house when you going to work, telling lies that he lived with his sister, but that's his place. All the I've known guys that take pictures down and put up other pictures like they single, all kind of crazy stuff. I got stories for days. Mind you, I worked in them jails and I drove that bus for all of me as I heard it. I just heard it even before all my life. But the point that I made, and I kind of had a brain fart and I didn't finish it, and I'm going to wrap this down soon, is that, that young girl, and this is an example. This doesn't mean just a young girl, because, our young women have been able to overcome as some of our men. But the young woman who has the alcoholic father, like I said before, that beats the wife. And isn't it funny that I feel the majority of times, right? And we don't want it to be the majority of times, right? But when they get older, they know in their mind what they should be looking for in a good man. But it's something that turns them on about that aggressive man. I'm not going to say they beat him. They treat him nice to win him over. When they have that aggression, it does something for her. Like aggression that's not really good, when he snaps at her, or, it's like her rewiring is where she gets moistened and turns on. Oh, it's so aggressive. I like that. Because what she grew up with became normalcy. And the men who have treated her nice and didn't abuse her, they didn't really do it for her. But that one who gave that rush of aggression, and she wants more. Now, we all are adults and have certain preferences on how we sprinkle the condiments on our food, right? Some women, choke me, pull my hair, smack me on the backside. Well, as long as that's what she wants and you're not hurting her, whatever, fine. But what is the origin of that? I'm not saying she had an alcoholic daddy that beat the mother, but the ones who did, they take the abuse a little more, even though it's hurting them, and they know they shouldn't be taking that, but it feels almost good in a twisted way. Thank you, Queen. Thank you. I've seen a lot. You don't hear no papers over here shuffling. Let me get to point number 25. No, we rapping. We on the corner, not in a bad way. But on a day where everybody's shopping, we just happen to see each other, boom, and here we are and we're talking. We can do this for hours, even though I'm going to wrap it down. But yes, even for those sisters, what has become normalcy, and sometimes, I'm talking about the sisters now, some of us, to throw it in for a little bit of balance. Sometimes she has that good man, and because she came up in a chaotic household, she could be intelligent, she could be smart, she could know right from wrong. And it could be a good man who took care of the voids on the inside of him, but it don't feel right. So you provoke an argument with that man. And it feels like the normalcy, what was normal to you when you grew up. This is why when you meet somebody, and I'm going to end it on this note, when you meet someone, you better dig into their history, Because they can put on whatever little mask like the kids in Halloween do when they put on the Hulk mask and the costume with the fake muscles and the Spider-Man outfit and the whatever. As long as your kids ain't doing trick or treat and drag trick or tweet. What did I say? We got so much work to do on ourselves. But the thing that we've been duped into thinking is that we have to look on the outside for an instant answer. You sitting there with bad spending habits and poverty, basically self-inflicted because you didn't have discipline to budget yourself, talking about, man, I'm going to go on that cruise when I hit that lottery. Well, you know what, Negro? You probably ain't going to hit that lottery because it's like getting hit by lightning. It probably, chances ain't going to happen. When I find a good man, but you got 7 boyfriends. Well, you got to have time to get a good man. And that good man might know of your reputation. These men who want a good woman, but they whoring around and beating down women, cheating on them, they're part of the STD delivery service, the DoorDash for STDs. I will deliver you a sexually transmitted disease to your door, right into your bedroom directly, and there's no charge. I'll give it to you for free. And you wonder why the word gets around about you. You see what I mean? Thank you, Queen. Thank you so much. I love doing these. I love doing these better than the way I used to do it. I just come, we talk about something real, and we're going to make it happen, you know? And again, the title of this was Men Who Covertly Despise Women. They hate the power of your womanhood because of their dysfunctional wiring from early on from an emotionally unavailable mother. It may not be that way all the time, but a lot of times it is. And there are other reasons and combinations of reasons. That's kind of like the main way. But there's other things in there because we have to deal with so much coming at us when our mold is set soft. And we get imprinted with different things, different hang-ups, different fears, all kind of different things, y'all. So we have to untangle that internal yarn that we have on the inside, because as I like to say, we're all dealt a certain set of cards in life. Your hand may be different from my hand. My hand may be different from your hand. But if you work your hand right, even if it looks to be a hand that doesn't look like it's going to win, just understand that you can make it work. You can win. This is Lancescurv. I'm on my way out. Hit Lancescurv.com if you don't see me on social media no more because I got a big mouth and somebody doesn't like it. Lancescurv.com will always have all the work we've been doing for almost 23 years. February will make 23 years every single day, whether it's artwork, writing, videos, whatever. Or we just take the camera and go out in the street, which I'll be doing a whole lot of that out here. Anyway, much love to you all. Have a good afternoon. It's afternoon over there in America, but it's 6:20 over here in Ghana, West Africa. But that's how it goes. That no matter what time period it is, no matter how far away I am from you physically, I'm right there with you because I'm concerned for my people, and I'm going to always talk about the real stuff. I ain't trying to be popular. I'm kind of popular, but I'm not shooting for that. I'm 60 years old. Why would I be the next 10 years? If I have 10 years, I want to do things with it. You say, oh, I got this amount of followers and subscribe. No, we vibing. It's from the heart. That's what I do. But the other people go for internet clout. I don't need it. I just need peace of mind and know that I love you and you love me back, and that we can have the real conversations. Much love to you all. Take care. Lancescurv out. I'll come back later on. Peace.